Today on Loyola News Chicago, the city's chosen its next mayor, why some people are leaving Rogers Park, and later, changes are coming to Loyola's Art Museum.
From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello and welcome to Loyola News Chicago. I'm Michael McDevitt.
And I'm Colleen Kennedy. We start our newscast with breaking news on Loyola's Lakeshore campus. Loyola's Graduate Student Union are once again calling on the university to come to the bargaining table. Their latest protest was today in the Damon Student Center on the Lakeshore campus. It's the second protest in 2 weeks for the union, which voted to unionize 2 years ago, but hasn't been officially recognized by Loyola. They grade papers and teach classes, but the university views them as students, not employees. The university did give them some concessions, such as dental coverage and the ability to work a second job.
The Chicago mayor's race is finally finished, and the result is historic. Lori Lightfoot beat Tony Preckwinkle for mayor by a landslide. Lightfoot won 74% of the vote in each of the city's 50 wards. This will be the first time an African-American woman has been elected to lead the city. And Chicago will be the largest city now in America to have an openly gay mayor, as Mayor Lightfoot hopes to establish affordable housing in all wards, create a new mayor's office of public safety to help lower crime, and get rid of red light cameras in the city. With Lightfoot's mayoral victory, reporter Deanna Trejo talked to members of Loyola community at the Water Tower campus for reactions.
While it was a historic win, many students hope that Lightfoot will deliver on her campaign promises for Chicago.
I expected her to win, but I was surprised at how she won, like in a landslide, and I just hope she can fix like the taxes and the crime that the state has been dealing with forever, it seems like.
I think that'll be really interesting, a new perspective on things, so it'll be interesting to see what she does here.
I mean, I know that she has a lot to deal with like for previous mayors, but I think she's going to do good. From what I've seen, from what I've heard, I think she's got it under control.
She wasn't my first choice of candidate, but I'm happy that she is representing a community that we haven't had represent as mayor for a long time. Or ever.
While many students said they did not vote or pay close attention to the election, many are hopeful that Lightfoot will bring in the light as next mayor of Chicago. Deanna Trejo, Loyola News, Chicago.
Lightfoot will officially take office May 20th. That's the same day Maria Haddon will be sworn in as the first openly gay black alderwoman of the 49th Ward.
The issue of ride-share safety has been a hot topic lately. Last weekend, University of South Carolina student Samantha Josephson mistook another car for her Uber ride. She was murdered, allegedly by the driver. The news has convinced some students to be more cautious when using a rideshare service.
I make sure that they know my name, and I don't really give them any information before I get in the car.
You know, you're supposed to wait until the person asks you who they're picking up, right? So they say your name. But honestly, like when I think back, I honestly don't do that very often.
They should be careful whenever they get into a stranger's car. People just don't think until they read stories like this. And I think it just is kind of like bringing that to the forefront of people's minds.
Uber has since responded to the killing of the South Carolina student, saying, quote, "We've been working with local law enforcement and college campuses across the country to educate the public about how to avoid fake rideshare drivers." Rideshare apps offer advice on how you can stay safe during your ride. Wait for your ride indoors so that a passing motorist cannot target you and pretend to be your driver. Make sure to match the make, model, the color of the car, and the license plate to the car that arrives. Also confirm the driver's name and their picture. Map your own trip during the ride to make sure they are following the proper route. Through both apps, you are able to share who your driver is, where you're going, and when you're supposed to get there with friends.
In the first 3 months of 2019, homicides and shootings are down in Chicago. According to police, there's been a steady decline since 2016. This year, homicides are down 34% and shootings have decreased by 19%. Chicago police credit advancements in technology, a larger police force, specialized units, and a stronger community support to the falling numbers. It's been about 5 months since 2 men were killed near Loyola's Lakeshore campus in Rogers Park. We've reported Chicago police exhausted all their leads, but that students still felt safe. But some Rogers Parkers told Carla Rogner it's still something on their minds.
It's spring again in Rogers Park, and people are coming back to the bike paths. However, a killer is still on the loose after 2 men were fatally shot in this same neighborhood last fall. The random murder spooked neighbors, including Rogers Park resident Yuri Resnick.
I don't want to be like trapped at home, but you have to go with your life. But at the same time, it was terrifying because everybody thought you could be next.
Douglas Watts was killed while he was walking his dogs on a Sunday morning. Elijah Moskowitz was killed the next night while riding his bike on the lakefront path at Loyola Park. On that same bike path, residents now say life must go on.
Certainly I'm not looking behind my back walking around or thinking about something like a dastardly thing that happened.
However, some residents are still spooked by what happened.
Yeah, I'm a bit on edge nowadays since the murders.
You have to leave, so you kind of say, okay, let's just pretend it's okay, but at the back of my mind I know it's not okay.
Despite surveillance video showing the suspect leaving the crime scenes, neighbors are unsure if he will ever be found.
I wonder if the police are still working on it.
In another country, maybe it's in another state.
The $150,000 reward is now the highest for any Chicago murder ever. Police believe that this large sum of money will encourage someone to come forward with details that will lead to the suspect's arrest. If you know anything about these murders, you can contact the Chicago Police Department. Carla Rogner, Loyola News, Chicago.
Chicago police say they're continuing with their investigation by going through the surveillance video and talking to witnesses. They also said they are not scaling back on the investigation.
The deadline for Empire actor Jussie Smollett to pay Chicago more than $130,000 is today. Last week, we reported that Mayor Rahm Emanuel sent Smollett a letter outlining the cost of what he owed to the city. Emanuel says he owed it in what Smollett wasted in police resources investigating the hate crime he allegedly staged on himself. The letter didn't say what would happen if Smollett refused to pay up. Smollett's charges of filing a fake police report were dropped last week, and Emanuel didn't hold back about his disdain for the decision. Coming up, how a small business feels about Target moving into Loyola's neighborhood.
And hear from the man who has been with Loyola's men's basketball team through many ups and downs. Stay tuned.
Netflix and chill.
Don't let your Netflix and chill become Netflix and spill.
Idiot.
Be smart.
Today, somebody noticed and cared. And today, that very special someone knew just how to show it. Every flower has a story. What's yours?
Loyola's Downtown Art Museum is expected to see some changes in the next academic year. Loyola University Museum of Art, or LUMA, may hold more events than exhibits next year. For the past 14 years, LUMA has showcased a number of different art pieces and has provided internship and academic opportunities for students. While no general announcement has been made, Loyola Chief Financial Officer Wayne Majars told the Loyola Phoenix that the museum currently loses more than $1 million a year, and not many students use the space. Loyola student Carly Beam used to work at LUMA and believes more events could increase student participation.
I worked at LUMA over the summer, and I think it'd be nice if they did focus more on events, just because from my experience, I saw that events drew in more people compared to a typical day. Obviously I'd hope that they still plan events in conjunction with art, though, because at the end of the day, it is an art museum.
The new change would reorganize or eliminate some positions at Loyola.
The new Target on Sheridan Road near Loyola's Lakeshore campus will have its grand opening this Sunday. Reporter Annie Kate Raglow looked into the development and how a competing store feels about it.
A brand new Target is here on Loyola's Lakeshore campus. Doors are already open, but the official grand opening is April 7th. The Target is part of the Concord on Sheridan development. It is a 7-story building that will house 111 units of mixed-income housing. Alderman Joe Moore gave the go-ahead on the development in late 2017. Down the street, Devon Market is only half a mile away. Its owner and founder, Shal Bassa, has run the store for 20 years now. Bassa was worried at first about a competing store.
Like kind of a shock, another store around the neighborhood. But then we realized that the concept of Target is completely different than us.
Bassa is getting more aggressive with social media advertising to keep customers engaged. But he is proud of the vast selection of products they offer and is not worried that he will lose any customers or workers.
Variety that we have, produce-wise, meat-wise, deli, fresh items, and I feel pretty much confident that they're not going to hurt us.
One customer, Cynthia Fuentes, has been going to Devon Market since she was an employee at the age of 18. She said she will stay loyal to her favorite grocery store.
I'm loyal to Devon Market. I'm going to stay right here.
Target is expected to be a great amenity for college students, but Devon Market will continue to serve the neighborhood. The Concord at Sheridan development is still underway. Target is just a piece of the puzzle. Retail space is currently available for lease. The entire Concord at Sheridan development is expected to be complete in fall of 2019. Annie Kate Raglow, Loyola News, Chicago.
The new Target is smaller than your average store, but will still provide 70 jobs to the community. But if you're in the market for Target's usual $5 bottles of wine, you'll be soured to find out they don't sell alcohol.
New Year's resolutions are just starting for some people. Assyrians in Chicago just welcomed their new calendar year over the weekend. Red, white, and blue filled the air as local Assyrians waved flags at the Assyrian parade to show their ethnic pride. It may be the year 2019, but Assyrians brought in almost 6,800 years of civilization.
We are so proud and we are happy that in this land of freedom, we've been able to practice our culture.
Throughout history, we've kept that tradition alive until today. So that's what we're doing today. We're celebrating the Assyrian New Year.
Thousands of Assyrians come out every year to take part in keeping their tradition going. Those who attended the parade celebrated by wearing traditional clothing and joining a line dance while listening to live music. The Chicago Assyrian Parade has been running since 1992.
Loyola men's basketball team has not always been as successful as it is now. Reporter Estalisha introduces us to a man who has stuck with the team through thick and thin.
For the last 8 years, London DeCubo has spent most of his time at Loyola's Gentile Arena. DeCubo joined the men's basketball team as a freshman in 2011 and says the program drastically changed his senior year.
We won one conference game my freshman year in the Horizon League, which is a worse league than the Valley. And then skip ahead 3 years, we're in the Valley now. We win 24 games my senior year.
It was that year that DeCubo realized he wanted to be a coach and began scrambling for a graduate assistant position. Although Loyola's basketball program didn't have enough funding to pay for a graduate assistant at the time, DeCubo didn't let that stop him.
I met with Coach and basically I just asked if I could volunteer for a year. I volunteered. I lived at home in the suburbs and I commuted an hour every day there and back.
After volunteering for a year, Loyola finally received the funding it needed to hire DeCubo as a full-time graduate assistant for 2 more years. In his final year as a graduate assistant, the basketball team made it to the Final Four in the NCAA tournament. As a player, DeCubo remembers practicing in the Hallis courts among other students and passing out flyers to the basketball games. He says the Final Four run changed the program forever.
The culture, which Coach always talks about, went from, the bottom when I was there was no culture, to when I was a senior, the culture started to grow, and then last year kind of just it all got put together and we parlayed it into a Final Four run. So.
Now, Takubo works full-time as a video coordinator for the men's basketball team. He says he's grateful for everything the team has taught him and everything the NCAA has gifted him. While he doesn't know where the future will take him, he's confident that Loyola will continue their success for years to come. Esther Lisha, Loyola News, Chicago.
Takubo and the men's basketball coaching staff will be in Minneapolis this Saturday to watch the Final Four games.
You know what? I wish I was in Minneapolis this weekend to watch the Final Four.
And I wish Loyola was playing in the Final Four this weekend.
Wish they were still busted brackets.
Fair.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And we'll see you next week for another episode of Loyola News Chicago. Have a great night.